Hi guys, I want to do this video. These are two videos we're going to talk about. I want you to give me your time, your as GVGI and you, Game Idea Guy says, give me your eyes, your ears, your time to understand what's going on here in this video I'm going to talk about. All right? So of course, we know that there's some numbers that Nintendo just released. March is coming up. March is coming up. That's the numbers ain't for that. Half of the year has gone. So when we talk about the numbers for Nintendo, again, people who wanted to hate on Nintendo, boo, whatever. Hate all you want, go ahead. But I want to use people, these are the YouTubers. These are not big YouTubers. These are small YouTubers. And the reason I'm using small YouTubers than big YouTubers to prove my point, because again, these are people who are talking honestly about what's going on and doing their stuff. They're not like try to follow trends and they're saying what they gotta say like I say what I gotta say. I'm not a big YouTuber. I'm only 33,000. I might have over 10 million views, but still, I'm still there. I'm good with what I got. And the thing about it, no, I said not 5 million. Sorry. I remember I was watching something else and got to 5 million views. I have over 5 million views, and I got over those 5 million views by piecely, by literally going small video by small video by small video. Some of the videos, as y'all know, you know that some of my videos came out, then people start to watch them later on, and it blows up and get views and stuff like that. And it's 100 views here, 1,000 views here. It adds up and everything. And again, music is still the biggest part of my channel that get the most views. So I'm not gonna do that. The jukebox is what helped my channel blow up. So I respect that. And I'm a music person because one, I own my own music company, record company. I've done music for gaming. And at this point right now, I'm gonna ask a question, and I know sometimes people don't watch the video; they watch it later on. I am back in the studio doing music. I might clip this as a short, so maybe people need to, so people can maybe see this. There's a video that I released about trophies, right? I just released it. Check it out. Now I apologize for the sound playing because I was editing quickly. I was doing other stuff and I just threw it up there. So I apologize for the sound quality. But most of those music are music that I've created from scratch, from raw, from me sitting at a keyboard playing them. Just like the Smash Bros. Legacy song, it was from scratch. All right? Wrote the song, rapped the song, produced the song, everything myself. I'm a producer. I own my own company. I own copyrights, all the whole 9 yards. Right now, I'm back in the studio doing music. I am going to do music for some upcoming shows to see if they will take my music. I don't really get a contract. I just send them the music. They say if they want to use it or not. That's how it works. That's worked in the past. Just like I did with the music in EA and Ubisoft and stuff like that. I had music. I sent it to them. They're like, "Oh, I like that music. We can use it for that. You can use it for that. I like that music. We can use it for that." That's how I started working with gaming companies back in the past, and I get to go to these different companies, see how the sound is being made, as the old saying goes, and everything. Right? But I think I'm gonna do 2 albums. One is game related. And if you guys know Chill Hop, which is a respectable channel on YouTube, respect that channel. Chill Hop. Those music that you heard from that trophy music was mostly Chill Hop. I'm sending my music to Chill Hop. Some of my music has made to Chill Hop's yearly mixes and made a little money for me, and I like that. But I want to know if you guys are interested. If I just give you guys links to upcoming new albums. One is the gaming one. I think I'm gonna call it Lock In. Game Lock In, and another one I'm gonna call Save at 3 a.m. Is my chill out. If you want music that's to chill, or you want music to be like energetic and and ballad sounds like you was hearing in like Xenoblade and anime opening and stuff like that, because I've done those songs for those like before, let me know. Again, I'll clip this out and maybe I might do it myself. Anyway, enough of the rambling. Get into this right here. Again, I want to talk about, we talk about Nintendo here. Nintendo has problems, and I'm going to do a video that's going to talk about a little bit of problems and also what I think Nintendo should do to go forward. Their new console might be top loaded, meaning beginning loaded, and they're going to slow down in sales. Understandable, I get it. But I want to say this. I want to show you that even though people hated the Switch 2, and people made hatred channels, as you guys saw, I made it. People made hatred channels to get views. I showed my receipts. People forgot what Nintendo's about. And that's the part that annoys me the most. Y'all forgot what Nintendo's about. Nintendo has slip-ups. They have missteps. They are a company. They are human beings. We are not perfect. That's why I always say perfect, blah, blah, blah. We're not perfect. But let's just listen to 2 videos here that proves my point. And listen to what they say. The first video, he's going to go back in the past and try to relive his stuff. I know most of you guys know about the story, but I'm going to give the man a full video so he, get his view and respect to him. And he's called Half Brandon. That's the name of the channel. Check it out if you want to check it out. This is the only video I've seen there's another video he has that's pretty cool and whatever, but yeah. But let's go and talk about Nintendo being different. As his videos, Nintendo walked away from the console wars. Yeah, because it was stupid at a point, as we see now.
In today's video, we're going to share the most unlikely story in gaming. When we talk about Nintendo, we often jump straight to Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon. But Nintendo isn't just a games company. It's a company that has survived for over 130 years by repeatedly refusing to play by the rules of its industry.
Exactly.
This is a story about reinvention, about why Nintendo keeps walking away from what everyone else thinks a console should be, and about one moment, the launch of the Wii, when Nintendo stopped competing on power altogether and changed gaming forever. Nintendo was founded in 1889 in Kyoto, Japan, long before electricity, computers, or screens. Its original business, Hanafuda playing cards. For decades, Nintendo was a traditional entertainment company. Physical games, social play, family rituals. Even at this early stage, there's a pattern. Nintendo wasn't about technology, it was always about play. Throughout the mid-20th century, Nintendo experimented wildly. This included taxi companies, love hotels, instant rice. Most of these failed, but what stuck was a core insight. Nintendo wasn't trying to be modern, it was trying to be joyful. I hope you're enjoying this week's Founder Story. If you are and want to support us, do consider subscribing and hitting that like button. It really helps us out. Now back to the video.
I like how you said that about joy. Yeah, just make fun, having fun. That's what it's all about. I'm all in on this stuff like that. That's why I like playing my Nintendo consoles more than any other consoles out there. A joy of fun, a joy of, oh wow, this is happening, let me enjoy it.
In the 1970s, Nintendo made its first serious move into the electronic entertainment scene. First with toys, then arcade machines, and then the moment that matters, home consoles. In 1983, Nintendo released the Famicom in Japan, and in the West we know that as the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES. This was really risky. The game industry had just collapsed in North America. Retailers didn't trust games anymore, and consumers had been burnt. Nintendo's response: they didn't sell a console, they sold a toy, robots, zapper guns, and their toy was all them, built with strict quality control to regain the market's trust. And crucially, games designed around feel, not specs. Super Mario Bros., The Legend of Zelda, and the list goes on. Nintendo wasn't winning on hardware, it was winning on experience. The 1990s introduced competition, serious competition. Sega, then Sony, then Microsoft. This was the era of bits, processing power, CD-ROMs, and 3D graphics. But Nintendo made bold and sometimes baffling decisions. Cartridges over CDs, family-friendly branding, gameplay-first philosophy. The Nintendo 64 gave us...
Let's not forget the family-friendly branding. I have a special video about that. That y'all, if y'all don't remember, you can go check it out. Talk about why Nintendo lasted over 50 years. That family branding is a smart thing on their point. The cartridge, people don't like it. I liked it. Still like it now, rather than disc.
Revolutionary 3D movement. The GameCube delivered tight, joyful design, but commercially Nintendo was losing ground. Sony's PlayStation was becoming culture. Microsoft was bringing raw power. Nintendo was starting to look old-fashioned. And by the early 2000s, many people assumed Nintendo would eventually be pushed out of the console sector, the moment everything changes. There was a turning point. After the GameCube, Nintendo faced a brutal reality. They couldn't win on power alone. They couldn't outspend Microsoft. And they couldn't outspec Sony. And chasing them meant becoming something Nintendo had never been. So Nintendo asked a different question. What if we stopped competing on power altogether? Instead of asking, how do we make a better console? They asked, who isn't playing games and why? The answer wasn't technology, it was intimidation. Controllers with too many buttons, games that assumed literacy in gaming, a culture that had been exclusionary. Nintendo's response was radical, a console that didn't look like tech, that didn't sound like tech, that didn't behave like tech. The Wii, a white, quiet object, a controller that mimicked real-world movement, a console designed for living rooms, not bedrooms. This wasn't about gamers, this was about people, grandparents, parents, non-players. Nintendo reframed gaming as social, physical, and shared. And the industry laughed.
Yeah,
until it worked. The Wii didn't just sell well, it expanded the market. Tennis in care homes, bowling in retirement centres, families playing together. Nintendo wasn't competing with consoles anymore. It was competing with board games, TV, doing nothing. This is the crucial insight. Nintendo didn't innovate technologically, it innovated culturally. It understood that the future of games wasn't realism, it was access. And for a moment, Nintendo became the biggest gaming company in the world. By walking away from what everyone else thought gaming should be. Not everything that followed was successful. The Wii U struggled. Confusing branding and an unclear proposition. But the philosophy remained, and with the Nintendo Switch, everything snapped back into focus. Hybrid, play anywhere, one clear idea. Once again, Nintendo didn't chase power, it chased how people actually live. Nintendo's secret isn't nostalgia, it's restraint. They don't ask, what can this technology do? They ask, what does play mean now? The Wii wasn't a gimmick, it was a declaration that games don't need to be louder or sharper or more complex. Sometimes they just need to invite more people in. And
that was the Wii, and I think the Wii U was, except as you said, Wii U, like again, there's a lot of Wii U games on the Switch. The best place to play some of those games still is the Wii U. I'm telling you that right now. I mean, Wonderful 101, my sister bought Wonderful 101 for the Switch, and she said she enjoyed it, but the Wii is the better version of that game, and so was Tokyo Mirage Sessions, so are a lot of games, okay?
Might be the Nintendo's most radical move of all, and this is where Nintendo's story stops being about games. Because the Wii leaves us with a set of uncomfortable but powerful questions for brands. Questions that go beyond features, channels, and growth hacks. Questions like, who isn't engaging with us right now, and why? Are we designing for the most vocal users or the widest possible audience? What assumptions does our industry take for granted that were never questioned? Where are we competing on scale, power, or sophistication simply because everyone else is? What would it look like to stop chasing the market and instead expand it? Nintendo didn't win by being the best console. It won by redefining what a console was for. So maybe the real branding lesson isn't about differentiation. It's about courage, the courage to simplify, the courage to misunderstand, the courage to design for humans, not hierarchies. But sometimes the most radical brand move isn't doing more, it's choosing to play a different game entirely. Thanks for watching. Do let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll...
And I think he's right. That's how you stay relevant for 50 years. That's what they did. Now, with that said, we got to go to another part. So remember, this last year, everybody hated Nintendo, too expensive, too whatever, too blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to let the other guy explain it out as well, too. But let's not forget, the Switch broke a lot of records. Switch 2 is breaking a record right now. Did it break Switch 1 record? No. The most games sold in the first year of any console, Switch 1 got it. The most game that sold over 1 million in the first year, Switch got it. 2 games of the year on the same console launch here, Switch got it. Switch also had it that it sold out so much that they had one of the main game, the attachment rate was more higher than the console rate. PlayStation, Xbox never had that. And the funny part about it is this. All that was Nintendo doing what they're doing. Now they came up with a Nintendo 2. I said Switch 2. And I said they would never match up to the Switch 1. They won't. They won't match up. But they are doing something that's different and is conceding themselves to that. Let's go into it.
Nintendo, especially with their Switch 2, seemed to have gotten quite a bit of hate during the launch.
Yep.
People didn't like the price, which I understood.
That didn't bother me again, but the price, because I already explained it out already.
Not used to seeing Nintendo with such a large price tag. Definitely not used to seeing Nintendo with price tags close to what we see from the current gen. I will say, I've said this before, I've had my Switch 2 now for 2 months. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Better part of 2 months, I want to say. Maybe a little less. And pleased with it. Very happy.
Good for
Have
you.
not owned a console. The last console I purchased for me, or had purchased for me, it was a gift, was the Xbox 360. It's been a long time. Now, I've said this before. I've bought consoles for my sons. I think the last console I bought for my sons before they started purchasing things for themselves was the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, if I'm not mistaken. But what I have found with the advent of the Switch 2 is that there are many people that just seem to want this thing to fail. So I want to read some stats off for you.
Yeah, and sorry about that. I'm recording this at the time. The time you're seeing this video is way past it, but I'm basically, the Nintendo Direct was on, and I recorded a video, and it just launched right now. So anyway, I apologize for that. The show again, and here we go.
Is that there are many people that just seem to want this thing to fail. So I want to read some stats off for you just to give you, I guess, kind of an idea of what ballpark we're in for these numbers that came out for the Switch 2, which are
Please
crazy.
list them off.
So I'm going to read off to you the PlayStation sales numbers for its first year for each of the consoles. In 1994, the PS1 launched, and it sold 700,000 units first year. PS2 launched in 2000, and it sold 1.4 million units in its first year. That went on to be the top selling console of all time, I think 160 million units. The PlayStation 3, which launched in 2006, sold 3.6 million units, as the PlayStation. gains more and more popularity, people love it. They have good third party support. Their hardware is typically the best. People are pleased. In 2013, the PlayStation 4 launched, 7.6 million units sold in its first year. In 2020, the PS5 launched, 7.8 million units in its first year. Those are
And I will be a fair person. I give the PlayStation 5 an asterisk because of the pandemic. Okay? So just to be a fair and be an honest person, I give that an asterisk, okay?
great numbers. Now, for comparison, we'll go back to the Xbox. The original Xbox launched in 2001. I remember that. I was still in the military at the time. In its first year, it sold 1.4 million units. Actually, it says units within the first few weeks of initial launch, but did they give the first year? There aren't widely published details for the first year total. So if I had to guesstimate, I'd say maybe like 2 or 3 million first year, maybe 2 million first year for Xbox. Still, it was probably within those same numbers of PlayStation, because PlayStation just dominated the market for so long. The Xbox 360, which I bought one of those, it says in the first calendar year sold 1.5 million. So that original number is probably correct. And Xbox One in 2013, 3 million units sold worldwide in its first year. Xbox Series X and S, 6.5 million units by mid 2021. So these are some good numbers. Now let's get to this article. And this.
Okay, so let's go into the whole thing. 700,000 for the PlayStation that first came out. All right, 1.4 for the Xbox and the PlayStation 2. Not bad. 3.6 for the PlayStation 3, 1.5 for the Xbox 360, which in my opinion, the Xbox 360 was a better console. PlayStation 4, 7.6 compared to 3 million. You know, we know about the whole down metric and how people are stupid and whatever, how that stuff, even though PlayStation lied to you about the same thing as Don did, but whatever. And 7.8 to 6.5. And again, I knocked that as to the pandemic, the scandemic was happening, so I give that asterisk as well too. All right? Because Nintendo came out with their system in 2017. And so compare that to that, I'm also hearing a lot of people say, "Oh, well, the Switch and the Switch and the Wii U are the same generation." Cut the bullshit with that bull. I hear people say that. Like, what are you talking about? They were not the same generation. It's a different system altogether. Why? PlayStation 3 to 4 is a different generation, but Wii U to Switch is not. People that irks me the hell out, man.
For me, I'm going to tell you what this says. This says that despite the hate that it got for a variety of reasons, some legitimate reasons that people had reservations about the Nintendo Switch 2, game key cards being one of them, a couple other things, the price, people thought it should be less expensive, the price of some of the cards.
Yeah, well, again, less expensive to what compared to what? Look what all kind of consoles coming out right now. Hell, that the iBox thing that it's kind of like a PlayStation Eye. Oh, excuse me, like the PlayStation Eye. That thing is selling for the same price as a Switch Lite. So,
Cartridges are pretty crazy, but I've made this point before. If you look back in history, $70 cartridges, especially for Nintendo, and not just Nintendo, aren't abnormal. You can go back to the 90s and find some games that were that price. Anyway, Nintendo switched,
which we show them, and people also, and I talk about inflation, which is a true thing. It was inflation, whatever. But think about it, even without inflation, the price number of that money I showed you in my video games that cost $99, $100 for games. Okay? So, and people were buying it back then. So what the frick are y'all talking about? Like I said, I told you multiple times that game prices is gonna shock y'all. For since 2014, I told y'all this basically y'all locked it down for whatever, but that bubble will pop. And when it pop, y'all are shocked and surprised. I give people out there who don't want to pay $80 for Mario Kart World. Respect for y'all, I understand that. I'm not gonna argue that point. Good for you. On the other games, not surprising. Not surprising at all.
Is officially the company's best-selling console as sales top 17 million. Not just the best-selling console for Nintendo, this is the fastest-selling console of all time in the first year. You saw those numbers from those other consoles. They're not even close to these numbers right here. This is crazy. And that,
Exactly. And again, as I just pointed out earlier before, the whole, attachment rate, games sold, all the consoles to do this, all the consoles the Switch had stuff that all the consoles it could do. Where y'all at? Where y'all bitches at? Where they at? Now again, I'm not lie to anybody out there. The Wii U sold faster than it was a faster console for a while too. And it got loaded top front and then less heavy in the back. Little different marketing problem with the Switch 2, of course. It's right now Nintendo's firing, making sure the Switch 2 gets all the stuff. But I'm just saying, and the Switch 2 could flop for all I care. I got a console, like I just said, you guys saw the notification for the Nintendo Direct Partners Direct. I see some games in there that I'm gonna buy for my Switch. Some of them are Switch exclusive. Go figure. So I'm gonna buy them. I'm gonna enjoy them. And yes, Nintendo Life. Oh my goodness, yeah. I think y'all lost y'all pizzazz now. I used to watch y'all I never subscribed, watch you like, hey. See how y'all just downplay some games because of that? Like, see, even me, when I say games I don't like Bethesda's game at the end of the damn thing, I said, I don't like it, but people already like them, so whatever. It is what it is. Blah. I hate Todd Howard, I hate Bethesda, but whatever, it is what it is. But I know people out there love them. I just don't like when Todd lied to people right in the face, and people still buy this shit. That's how stupid that is. But I know people love Oblivion. I know people love Fallout. I know people love those games, and they will go and buy them again. I won't, but that's not my cup of tea. But I know they will. I still watch the video so y'all can see it. Nintendo Life now, it's Captain Tsubasa, I don't like football. It's a great game. It's what we call arcade fun football. Like we used to have like SSX Tricky, like we used to have with our NBA, FIFA Street, and then NFL Street, the whole thing that EA Big used to be. That's what it was, fun games. Anyway, just annoying. These guys getting annoying now.
estimate is that these are the units that were sold to the distributors, and the units that were actually sold physically to people from those distributors, about 15 million, which is still crazy. And we're not even in a full year into the console. This is nuts.
Yep.
So this is from Yahoo Finance. Nintendo revealed its Nintendo Switch 2 console has sold more than 17 million units since release last June. Think about that. Think about.
I wish I had my songs to play. Champ is here. Champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here. Only my people, my OGs know that song. That's the song I created with, long ago, and I put a video called The Champ is Here. Who said that was going to happen? This guy here said that. I said that was going to happen. Y'all wanted to hit on it so bad. But Nintendo just basically F y'all. That's why I put that first part of the video up front. They're not fighting against Xbox or PlayStation or even Steam. And that's the way I look at it. I was Nintendo, which is the truth. That's what I look at it as. Again, not saying Nintendo doesn't have their faults. They have their faults. Nothing's perfect. They have their faults. But the right thing is to make a product, understand what you could do, and do it again. Yes, I wish the Switch 2 was cheaper. But again, parts are not cheaper now. They're expensive. Look at the memory. Memory now went from $200 to $600 – what company's going to absorb that into their costs? Are y'all stupid?
How many more months we have until June? That'll be a full year. Yo, it's especially with the games that's coming out. I'm telling you right now, like I'm excited for Pragmata. I haven't picked up Final Fantasy Intergrade yet, but I might buy that digitally. That I played through the demo. That game is great. The new Dragon Quest, Lord willing, I'm definitely buying that one. That game is fire. I played that demo and I was hooked the entire time. So it says console 17 million units since release last June, and it's on track to hit 19 million by the end of March. Now we'll see. I would say it'd be a tall order to reach 19 million, but if it keeps up this same pace, yo, the numbers are probably gonna be crazy. 19 million is definitely doable at this pace. I think that's a good number for them to shoot for or to try to attain by this coming June.
Yeah.
It says during that same period, the original Nintendo Switch has sold 3.25 million units. Down 66% compared to the previous year, obviously because the Switch 2 released mid last year. Now, here's the thing. The original Switch has become Nintendo's top selling console of all time, 155 million units. It passed, I believe it was the DS was before it. I think that held the record before that, like 154 million or something like that. Yeah. These are crazy numbers, especially when you look for looking at all the metrics. I mean, it's not like people have a bunch of disposable income to be buying things. So the fact that the Switch 2 sold this much, it's kind of crazy. Like this is really, really insane. And they did a really good job with their supply chain. I think they went overboard making sure they had enough units. I don't think they anticipated selling as much as they did, but it's a good thing Nintendo prepared because they're moving a lot of units. Exactly. I tried to buy a Switch 2 launch day. I'd saved up the money. I was prepared. I was excited for it. Every website I went to, everywhere I tried to buy, crash. I could not pick that thing up. My kids wound up buying me one for Christmas. So, it all worked out in the wash. But there's a lot of units. It says, in its last quarterly earnings results released Tuesday, the Japanese video game giant says that it sold 7 million Switch 2 consoles during its most recent quarter, which ended in December alone. The Switch is now officially Nintendo's fastest selling game console
of
ever.
all time.
Nintendo maintains its previous forecast of 19 million Nintendo Switch consoles sold by March 31st, which will mark the end of Nintendo's current fiscal year. Okay, so they're going with the fiscal year. Overall, Nintendo reported 1.9 trillion Japanese yen in its first 3 quarters of fiscal year 2026, which ran April 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025, and profits of 358.8 billion yen. Those stats are up 99.3% and 51.3% respectively. And the funny thing is, like, I pay attention to a lot of what's going on, and I'm not going to make it seem like I'm some financial guy that's paying attention to all of this. But I've heard all of the things people have been saying about Nintendo. Oh, they're on the ropes. This is bad. And I don't know what's going on, right? Like I'm not in that space. So I'm watching that like, yo, that's
I'm in a
crazy, man.
space.
Nintendo's about to have some troubles. That's wild. Meanwhile, I'm pleased with my Switch 2, and I'm seeing a bunch of people pleased with their Switch 2. So I
Thank
don't
you.
know, like I'm kind of confused. Like, all right, maybe I just don't understand this. Maybe that's what the problem is. But now seeing this,
Nah, it's just the haters. It's just the haters. Which at the end of the video, I gotta talk to a special type of haters, which I'm not gonna argue about. You prove my point. Thank you, Metroid fans, for proving my point. What am I? Am I shocked? Am I surprised of this shit? No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
I think a lot of the stuff I was reading is, well, I don't think, I know they were wrong. Clearly, the Nintendo Switch 2 is doing very well, and Nintendo in general is doing very well. Nintendo says it sold 37.9 million Switch 2 games and 108.9 million Switch titles during the physical year, including more than 14 million copies of Switch 2 release title Mario Kart World and 4.25 million of Donkey Kong Bonanza. Yo,
There you
translation of this is
Ching!
Nintendo is like actually in a good space.
Yep.
This doesn't, like, nothing about this. I can't read this and somehow draw the conclusion that, oh, yeah, Nintendo's down bad. They're just not doing good. That I don't find that to be the case.
Nope.
And then it goes on to say Nintendo Switch 2 record sales contrast with a recent share price weakness. And I think that's due to a lot of things. People are anticipating the price of the Switch 2 going up because of the RAM short.
Yeah, and how much you want to bet that future is going to go back up? Which means nothing. Which means nothing to gamers, okay? If you're not an investor, shut up. It means nothing to gamers. When people say, well, oh, they lost $2 billion in futures, in investment money that they never had. People pulled out money that they were trying to invest. That's what it's called, investment future. Stop it. Stop it. Okay? They're not a fully publicly traded company for a smart reason. And that's good. Stop it. Jeez.
Which Nintendo has said, some different things about that, different things that they can do to kind of mitigate that. So I can't say what's going to happen with that. Like I said, I'm not in that space, critiquing the financials of companies. All I can say is I have been having lots of fun with my Switch 2. When I tell you I've enjoyed it, I have enjoyed all the games I've been playing. I appreciate the fact that there's a lot of third-party support. Like, there's a lot more third-party support than I ever saw for the Switch 1 or the original Switch. Not that they didn't get third-party support at all, but some of those big titles just never made it there. When I watched the Video Game Awards and saw that Pragmata was coming to the Switch 2, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of shocked. I was like, I didn't think that game was possible. Was that before? No, this was after I'd already had my Switch 2. I just wasn't expecting that. I will tell you, playing that Final Fantasy VII and playing some other games like Metroid Prime, I'm like, nah, this thing has more juice than a lot of people know.
You know what? Shout out to my boy, Metroid Prime. Shout out to my boy. You're one of the good ones. Unlike these insufferable pieces of shit human beings who are pissed off about.
Kudos to Nintendo. They're doing some good things.
Hello.
Here we go with this. And then, of course, it dropped me, and I'm sorry for that. 20 reasons not to buy Nintendo Switch. So it went back to a video like that. So crazy. That's why, sorry, Real Wizard. It didn't work. It didn't work. Your video didn't work. Down vote. It didn't work because it was shitty. Now, with that said, to you Metroid fans out there, and I do mean this, I've said many videos about Metroid, so I'll say this right here. Shut the actual F up, okay? Y'all are pieces of shit human beings. Y'all talk that shit. I saw another video, Josh TV. I like the guy, but when he said in the video, like, oh, the game was a good game, but it was just, the whole stuff with the desert. And I watched Johnny's video. Some call me Johnny again. It's a fucking desert. What do you expect? I don't get it, but whatever. Some people like to be immersed in the game, and then when they don't want to get immersed in the game, then whatever. Because again, you ought to say people who love Starfield, nothing's happening when you got to travel between worlds, which makes sense to me. But that's all right. But having Metro get on the bike and drive to the next spot is not. Again, for anybody who ain't played Metroid game, get the green crystals. Get a lot of the green crystals when you're on the bike. That's my advice to y'all. Okay, but yeah. Am I surprised that people talk shit about Metroid or Metroid Prime will be the game? No, I'm not. I'm not surprised. If Nintendo doesn't do that in Metroid Prime, a Metroid game or Metroid Prime game, Nintendo, I understand. I understand full-heartedly. But y'all keep talking your effing mouth and you never back the shit up. Stop listening to these other dumbasses on YouTube like this Jack Wagner that's on the screen right now, and go and have it yourself. No game is perfect. I know no game is perfect. Metroid Prime 4 has its problems too. So did Dread. But they're actually fun game. Just enjoy it. Stop listening to idiots. Oh my goodness. With that said, remember, there's no perfect games out there. What's perfect to you is not perfect to me. What's perfect to me is not perfect to you. Simply enjoy your games on all consoles, including PC and mobile devices. Just do that. Anyway, and again, shout out to, again, big ups to Nintendo. Prove them wrong. That's the only way you can do it. If you want to shut people up, prove them wrong. And what y'all did with me, not buy Metroid, is prove me right. Because I said y'all ain't gonna buy it, and I was correct. And it wasn't a broken game. It wasn't a broken game. It wasn't a bad game. But y'all just, couldn't do it.